Welcome to Real People, Real Matters. This is Diana Tulchinsky with my first guest, Eric Garcia. Eric, please tell me about your background in the Army.
Yeah, so actually I started out in the Air Force, and it was in 2001. I got in a week after 9/11, so 9/11 happened, and then I went into the Air Force. I was there for 6 years, and that's actually when I started training martial arts, because I saw I had a real self-defense need, and I trained, got a black belt in Taekwondo. I was training Judo and Jiu-Jitsu to help me deal with these real situations that weren't like boxing or like a sport situation. It was real world self-defense. And eventually I found this martial art that we practice called Wing Chun, and we stuck with it. And so that's a little bit of my background there.
And where is this martial arts coming from? Where does it originate in China?
Yeah, so the old tale, the legend, is that it began in a Shaolin temple, in the southern Shaolin temple, about 350 years ago. Originally, a Buddhist nun named Moy developed it, and she taught it to a young girl named Yim Wing Chun. And so after Yim Wing Chun got really good at it, eventually people started asking what's the name of the art, and she said it doesn't have a name. And so they ended up just naming it after her. So it became known as Wing Chun Kung Fu, or Wing Chun's style.
And tell me, how is it different from Taekwondo, which is Korean?
Right, yeah. So obviously the origins are a little different. Taekwondo is a really great art, but a lot of the focus of the art is typically on sports and sporting events. Taekwondo has a lot of kicking, lots of like round kicks, side kicks, front snap kick, back kick. Lots of kicking techniques. Most of the hand techniques are blocks. There's a couple punches in there, of course. But most of the emphasis is on the kicking and the use of the legs. So what differs in Wing Chun is that for practical application, of course, is our main focus. So we're dealing with people bullying you in school directly. We're dealing with if you're walking out late at night and somebody comes in and grabs you. So we're not doing things to be very sporty or to look very nice. So nothing we do looks very pretty. It's just very practical.
What are basically the exercises, like a lot of like the punches and the knees and the drilling? How is that?
Yeah, so we have a type of punch called a chain punch. It's pretty unique to our system, and it's pretty much like rapid fire punches from the center of your body, right? And they're very hard to see coming because we don't load back the shoulder. Everything we do is really relaxed, so we're teaching you to also like keep calm during if there's a real fight. And we are teaching you, we have hooks, we have uppercuts, we have everything that pretty much boxing has, with a couple of extra fancy techniques like some palm strikes and some eye gouges, knee stomps, and stuff like that. So it's, again, it's meant for practical self-defense, and it's not meant for show. So we do have a lot of other techniques too. We have a lot of exercises, like in traditional kung fu, there's a stance called horse stance. That's where you get down really low and your feet are apart and you're just pretty much standing really low, and it really burns the quads. So it's a really good exercise for that. There's another like strength and fitness component to the art as well. But yeah, that's mostly what we focus on, is the practicality. And we build strength and flexibility along with that for our exercises.
Interesting. Like for women and like especially for young adults and young girls, like how do you portray like the body image? Like how do you help with self-esteem and everything else?
Yeah, so we help young girls in a very important way, because a lot of young girls don't actually get to test the limits of their body, of what it can do, right? So we put them in challenging situations against men, against bigger men in a lot of other martial arts, because they're sports-based, they're going to end up kind of, okay, well, this is the women's division, this is the women's weight class. And if they do fight against a guy, it's going to be somebody around their size. So what we do is we put it in more of a real world situation, and typically they're going to be against somebody much bigger than them, much stronger than them, and maybe multiple people, right? So we teach how to not only what their body can do, but how to think strategically and what they can and can't do. When they exercise this, they help starting feeling more confident about themselves, about their body image, about what they can do. Because a lot of times they just, you're sitting there looking at magazines and stuff and judging yourself against other girls and trying to really say, oh, what can I do anything? Can I, it gives them a sense of doubt. So the martial arts are really empowering, especially this one, who's even named after a girl, to help them really maintain what they can do and to help promote their body image. We also work a lot, especially with teens, to help focus on that, to help boost their confidence and their just general purpose, like drivenness that they would have.
Do you have any like success stories where people like they're overweight or like have heart disease or on statins come to you and saying like I want to join? Like, do you have anyone that lost weight or even like labs are better now?
Yeah, we have some with the labs. Even though our main focus is in fitness, a lot of the people that come and start training with us, they start losing weight, they start living a healthier lifestyle, because what we're teaching mainly is self-defense. The main success stories I have are with people who end up getting in a real world confrontation and end up using the skills that we built with them in our school. So there's one young boy who was training with us, and he had a disability. He was on the spectrum, and we were training him for about 3 or 4 years. And in his school, there was a bully who was being pushed out of all these other schools and finally came to his school. And the bully went, and of course he's going to pick on somebody who he thinks appears weak and is easy to go after. Is a problem child, and this was the one student who was in our school, and our student was able to actually knock this kid down in front of everyone, and just put his hands up and say, "I don't want to fight with you because you don't know how to fight," and then walked away. And the teachers saw it and everything, and they were so proud of him. They couldn't believe, because he's a very soft-spoken boy, and they were very worried when this kid went up to him, and they didn't have time to get over there.
Wow. And then, like, do you ever work with like people that are handicapped, people are in like wheelchairs that just want to like get out and exercise?
Yeah, we have the capability to work with anyone. I actually have a special class for people on the spectrum who are, a lot of time when someone's on the spectrum, they have a lot of trouble communicating, and they have an internal dialogue that doesn't match with like what their body's expressing. They have a hard time receiving the messages that you're getting. So we do have a special focus program for that. If you have any form of disability that's, physically inhibitive, we can also work with people as well, anything that you have. So we have special training exercises, so we do work with anyone, essentially.
And like basically what type of diets do you encourage? Like do you encourage like basically walking, running? Like how rigorous is your exercise?
Yeah, so for dieting and exercise, the best thing you can do is have a low impact exercise like walking. Little caveat to this, I'm not a dietitian or anything or a doctor, but this is just what we practice in our school, and it gets really good results for people practically that we see. For exercise, it's best to do a low impact exercise like Wing Chun Kung Fu, throwing it out there. It does really good because it helps really get your whole body moving. Like the whole body, it's low impact. It doesn't hurt you to do what I mean by low impact. For instance, running is a high impact exercise because every step you take, your heel is actually hitting the ground and it's impacting you all the way up through your back, through your spine. So that's why runners a lot, if you run and run and run, you got to go see the chiropractor. It's like mandatory because it's just a very high impact exercise. So we want to do low impact exercises like walking, taking a daily walk for like 20 minutes to an hour is perfect, right? And it's free. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
For a diet, there's a lot of different diets. People come from many backgrounds. But generally, if you want to do something good with your diet, reduce your sugar intake. Anything that has sugar, anything that has a sugar substitute. So, for instance, if there's Coke, don't drink Diet Coke to lose weight. Drink water to lose weight,
Yes.
right? Don't switch from something that says diet. If it says diet on a can, or if it says zero sugar or something like that, but it still tastes sweet, just don't eat it. Better just to eat something that's not sweet, right? And at first you like the sweet, so it's hard to do that. So have a cheat day planned so you can still get your sweet fix in, but just generally avoid heavily processed foods, sugars, and sugar substitutes.
How important is to eliminate anything white? Like the whole slogan, eliminate white sugar, white flour, white processed foods. Like how important is that?
Well, as long as it's a processed thing, then yeah, you should probably try to avoid it. Do your best. For like white rice, I don't know. I wouldn't. Again, I'm not a super big dietitian,
Yeah.
but the white rice is just, if it's naturally white, then it's fine. If it's something that's naturally white, it's okay.
How important also is antioxidants? Because I was looking like there's so many like different antioxidants from Amazon, like CQ10, Brevistol, Mida Pure, like pomegranate, and like everything green tea extract. How important is that?
So it's not as important as the mechanism inside your body that naturally generates antioxidants. And so part of our martial arts system, the Wing Chun Kung Fu, is that we have a form called Siu Nim Tao. And in that form, we actually practice our breathing. And we have a special breath that we do that actually starts these antioxidant engines in your body. So inside your body is already set to produce the antioxidants, but you have to activate them. And the way you activate them is with you can do a concentrated physical effort and isometric exercise, as well as taking deep breaths, or you can do our form. And so our form actually has that antioxidant mechanism inside of it. On top of that, when you do it, it opens up your blood vessels and more oxygen gets through your body and more circulation gets through, which also delivers those antioxidants to where you need them to go.
Well, like what's the difference between aerobic and isometric, like anaerobic activity?
Yeah, so aerobic pretty much just means with oxygen, and anaerobic means without oxygen.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so aerobic exercise is something where you're going to be, like, for instance, jogging, running, jump rope's a good one, swimming, right? So you're going to be doing lots of deep breaths. You're going to be really exerting yourself. Your heart rate's going to go up. Your heart rate should always go up, but your breath is really, you're breathing a lot when you do these exercises. They're typically high amount of reps and typically low weight. So isometric exercise is where you're actually not moving, but you're still exercising. An example, for instance, that everybody can think of is a plank. If you've ever heard of a plank, where you just sit still, you just put your hands out and you're
so
laying
you have
flat.
Your weight against yourself. So
Yes. But you're just sitting still. But if you just sit there for a long time, that's called isometric exercising because you're not actually moving. So you're just sitting still, but it's a big workout. It's not easy, right? So a lot of core exercises like that. One we do is called horse stance. In our form, there's isometric exercises there. And that means you're doing exercise without moving.
And toning, like how do you tone your arms and legs, like with those kicks and then like those hand drills?
Yeah, so toning is a combination of things. Number one, you have to increase your muscle mass, and that's okay to do no matter, if you're man or woman, whatever. It's okay to increase your muscle mass. It boosts your metabolism. Um, but the type of muscles that you have is also important. So when you do a lot of low weight isometric exercises, your muscles won't get as big, but they will get a lot stronger and a lot more solid than if you do a lot of big, heavy weightlifting and you eat a lot. So then your muscles will grow bigger and faster, but they'll just be
Yeah.
large, right? So the best way to get tone is to work in combination. First, you build up strength, so you build some muscle mass, and then you go into a dieting routine to actually cut down your body fat percentage. And then you go back and forth. Or you can maintain, like I said, a continuous exercise for a while. Like if you look at me, you see I'm okay toned. But I train a lot. I train about between 10 and 15 hours a week of training, but I just do it routinely. And so I don't, I can have more leeway and leniency with my diet because of that training.
Can you tell me about your studio? When did you open that up?
Yeah, we opened our studio in 2019, at the very end of 2019. So then COVID hit right after that. So we've been struggling pretty hard for the last 3 years, but we were able to make it through. We started with the hopes of bringing this martial art because it's very unique. It's not a martial art offered anywhere else in the Glenview area at a main studio. And you'll very rarely find it in most places. So Wing Chun Kung Fu is not well known. Everybody knows one famous actor who was produced was Bruce Lee.
Yes.
Bruce Lee trained Wing Chun Kung Fu, and he trained with our grandmaster, and his name was Yip Man. And so there's a lot of Yip Man movies out because they can't make any more Bruce Lee movies. So now for some reason they're taking our grandmaster and making him very fantastical, which is cool. So that's really cool to see. But we opened up, we have a 2-storefront, it's about 2,000 square feet. It's a great training facility, and for those of you in Glenview, we're right next to Johnny's Kitchen and Tap. And that's right on the corner of Lake and Milwaukee.
Interesting. And like, how many masters do you have or teachers?
Yeah, so we have one high level. He's our main instructor. His name is Sifu German Atanasov. He is the head instructor of our school. He's been training for 40 years. So he has a lot of experience. I'm the second highest level in the school, so I'm his partner. I've been training total 21 years, 22 years. And then we have a bunch of other instructors who also have 10 years at least, 10 years, 11 years, probably. Our most junior instructor, he is a young guy. He's 18, but he's been training since he was 13, I believe.
Wow.
So he has 5 years of training.
And like, what type of like, do you ever enter national competitions? Do you have like any titles so you go higher and higher?
Yeah, so we don't have international competitions because we're not a competition, we're not a sport-based art. But we do have titles and we do have to prove our skills to an international board. We're part of the International Wing Chun Association. And so in order for us to get our levels, we have to test amongst our peers to say, hey, we did the minimum requirements, we are able to do this very well, and we have to pass a board, right? Or from a master that certifies us. So there's a huge international community, and we have to go to them in order to get those levels. So we don't award ourselves the levels, which is pretty good, because some places you could get somebody who's like the ultimate grandmaster or whatever, and you don't know if they've given themselves that title. So because we're part of a big international organization, you know that our certifications are legit, pretty much.
And how long are your classes? Like, do you just like come in and then like, how long, like, I guess if I start at 13, when will it take me to become a teacher?
Yeah, so if you start at 13, it depends on you, of course. If you come in one time a week, it might take longer, but if you're attending all the time, in order to become what's called a sifu, which means teacher in Cantonese, in order to become a sifu, you need to be at least 18 years of age, and we don't have belt levels, but we have what's called technician levels. So there's student levels and then technicians. So you have to be at least what's called a second technician, and that typically takes at least 5 years to become a second technician and a lot of hard work. So some people, they train a little bit and they're like, all right, it's been 5 years, and it's like, well, you got to work harder to actually get the skill. So it's a combination of time, skill, and effort that people put in, and it's not easy to get those levels. In North America, there's only one sixth level technician or practitioner, one fifth level, and a handful of fourth levels. And Sifu German is a fourth level. So the next area you could go to have a school where there's a fourth level teaching you is very far away.
And what is your typical routine like for a woman and for a man? Is that the same like at like 20s and 30s? How long do you have to practice like aerobic, non-aerobic, and then to get that qualification?
So you would have to practice as long as you're routine and steady, and you keep coming to class and you keep learning. That's all it really takes. So it does take a lot of focus. I can't give you a specific amount of time that it takes because each person is different. Some people might have an easier time learning it. Some people might have a harder time learning it. It depends on where they are in their lives and what's going on in their minds while they're training. But it's just like any really high-level skill. You need to take a long time to practice and learn it to become very high level.
And how does your background in martial arts with physicist or being a physicist are compatible? Like, how did you get into that role
Yeah,
as a physicist and a martial arts owner?
yeah. So I'm also a health physicist, a radiation physicist, and what we do is we look at atomic interactions in the body from radiation. So we protect people from radiation. So I got into that because after I got out of the military, I needed a job to get into, and I found this field called health physics, which I kind of really liked. And so I was able to do physics because that's how my mind works. And long story short, I was able to become a physicist, and it really helps put two and two together with the self-defense. And that's one thing that we really have at our school that's pretty impressive because a lot of places they might have a master who's maybe very good, but who knows if they can teach you very well. So I'm have a master's degree in physics, applied master's. Our other Sifu German, has a aerospace engineering degree,
Wow.
and he's an aerospace engineer. So the both of us has worked together to put a program that's really outstanding. It's the best way you can learn the art, the fastest way. And there's no super fast way to do it, but it's the most thorough and articulate way of learning it. So me being a physicist actually helps me to be able to articulate to the students what we need to do. And sometimes I teach the kids some physics. Sometimes they like it, and sometimes they don't. So
Interesting. And do you have any tips for seniors trying to get like out of like the house or like out of like the normal senior center?
yeah, so for seniors, we also have Tai Chi classes at our place. The Wing Chun classes also work as well, but if you're not used to moving, if you have trouble moving, I would recommend the Tai Chi. If you don't have too much trouble moving, Wing Chun can also be very good for you because, again, like I said, it's low impact. Our Great Grandmaster Yip Man, I believe he was 84 when he passed away in 1972. And he was still up and walking and training until days before he passed away. So that means that you can, by training this, you can maintain a very active lifestyle. You can hang out with your kids. You can do a lot of stuff in your home. And you don't have to be bound to a wheelchair or bound to a walker, because if you keep practicing, they'll help you build those essential balancing muscles that you need.
And how do you like the Glenview area?
Oh, I love Glenview. Glenview is just so cool. I love the way it's set up with the downtown Glenview, with a nice little, like the train station there and all the shops along the main road, as well as the Glen. And they have a lot of awesome, like, golf courses here. And it's just, yeah, it's just a beautiful area. I like that the Glen was an old air station because I was in the Air Force. So I went over there and I was like, hey, that kind of looks like this kind of looks like it belongs on an airfield, and it turns out it like was an airfield back in the day, and it has a long aviation history here in Glenview.
Do you have lots of junior high and high school kids from the local GBS schools?
Yeah, we have a few. We have a few that come in, and we're welcome to more of them. But yeah, some of them. Our one teacher used to go to Glenbrook South, so he just graduated this past year from Glenbrook South. Yeah.
It's awesome that you deal with so much of the population with the spectrum disorder and like other like gifted and special ed kids.
Yeah, well, Wing Chun is a special art where we use something called tactile reflex training. And so people actually have to be physically in contact and using that system too. And it really helps a lot of people in many ways. So it can help almost anyone.
And do you have like unlimited passes, or how do I get into Tai Chi and like unlimited classes just to see like for a month?
Yeah, you can find us at wingchunil.com. That's WINGTSUNIL.com. And the name of our school is Wing Chun Martial Arts. You can also Google that. And on our website, it has different things you can sign up for. So right now we have a special. It's $99 to try out unlimited classes for a month to see what we do.
Thank you, Eric Garcia. Thank you for watching Real People, Real Matters. This is Diana Tulchinsky.